Next, let's take a look at the Quality tab. Here you'll find information such as readmissions, complications, and mortality rate, core measures, etc. We take a look at readmissions in 4 different ways. The first 2 are 30 and 3-day readmissions for any APR-DRG. So in other words, patients that have come into the hospital again for any reason at all. The next metric, percentage of 30-day readmissions for the same MSDRG, looks at patients that have come back for the same exact reason. So a very important metric to take a look at for reimbursement purposes. Next, percentage of 30-day readmissions for the same MDC is patients that have come in for a similar reason. So this is capturing patients with a same major diagnostic class. So similar, but not exactly the same. Next, we take a look at percentage of complications. As you can see here, this physician was 4.67%, which is slightly under the mean, which comparing to a system average of 5.24%. So I'd like to take a look at more detail here. So if you click on Details, Crimson will take you to a more detailed screen where you can see the top 10 MSDRGs, as well as a comparison for the system, the hospital, regional, and national averages. The top 10 MSDRGs are reflecting the top 10 in terms of volume for this physician. So for this metric, for example, you can get an idea of out of the top 10 MSDRGs that he treats, were any of them having complications associated. To take a deeper look, you can actually click on the Discharges button, which will bring up our Discharges Explorer. The Discharges Explorer will allow you to view each case on an encounter level. So as you can see here, whichever case is highlighted in yellow will display the case information down at the bottom. You can see information such as alerts, which will notify you when you've got a readmission, a complication, length of stay above the system average, length of stay above the CMS geometric mean length of stay, and charges above the system average. You can also get an idea of who the attending physician was, who the performing physician was, and who the consulting physician was here. Additionally, you'll get patient information such as the admit and discharge date, discharge disposition, length of stay compared to system average, charges compared to system average, and if you can capture them, costs compared to system average. Additionally, if you click the link to view patient name and discharge number, Crimson will pop up a window with that information. You can also see the patient age, the APR-DRG, as well as the MS-DRG that was assigned here, and the mortality risk and severity level. Additionally, in the right-hand piece of the screen, you can view core measure compliance, ICD-9 complications. Again, those are based on ICD-9s between 996 and 999. You can view ICD-9 diagnoses, and lastly, ICD-9 procedures. Next, if you want to take a look at a day-by-day breakout of the charges on the encounter, you can click in the middle green bar there on the timeline link. Again, here you're looking at a day-by-day breakout of the charges. And you can see these broken out into different charge categories. So you can see what labs were ordered, what medications were ordered, as well as any supply costs on the case. As you scroll out, if you see days in red, those are indications of a length of stay above the system average. The Discharges Explorer will also allow you to exclude cases. So if you click back on the discharge portion, you'll see the cases listed at the top. In the upper right-hand corner, notice the exclude checkboxes. What you want to do is click check marks on the exclude box of the cases that you want to take out, and then click close. Once you click close, you should be taken back to the summary screen in Crimson where you'll notice the focus button in the upper right-hand corner. Once you click that focus button, notice in the middle of the screen where it says exclusions, there's a check mark for omit excluded discharges. Go ahead and check that box and click done, and this will take out those cases that you have checked and recalculate your metrics based on the exclusions that you've selected. For more information on this focus, go ahead and click back on that. There's several different things you can do here with this focus that will narrow down the data that you're looking at. It's kind of like setting parameters on the data. The top section here, physician status, allows you to view attending or consulting cases. So as I mentioned earlier in the introduction to the profile, the physician profile defaults to a physician's attending cases. However, you can also flip the switch here in physician status to look at that physician's consulting cases as well. Next, in the comparison section, this again defaults, as I mentioned earlier, to system average, which is either system or hospital based on your facility. But you can change this. So for example, if you're looking at a cardiologist and you want to compare that cardiologist to his or her actual peers, I would change this comparison group to the hospital specialty cardiology. Next, in the payer section, you can hone in on particular payers. Say if you wanted to look at a person's Medicare or Medicaid cases, you can narrow that down here. We've just reviewed this exclusion, so I'll skip over that. But with the facilities, if your system has multiple facilities, you can either use data from all facilities or click the radio button for limit data to these facilities and select the appropriate hospitals of the cases you want to view. Lastly here, you can select a particular diagnosis. So for example, if you want to look at heart failure cases or pneumonia cases, type in those words, heart failure or pneumonia, or if you know the MSDRG, you can type that in, highlight it, click the green plus sign so it moves into the selected diagnosis box, and once you click done or apply, then you'll be viewing cases under that particular MSDRG. And please note you can also do this for APR-DRG if you're familiar with those. If you don't want to save any of the changes that you made, just go ahead and click cancel. Next, this will take us back to the quality page. Let's continue on where we left off before we dug into the complications. We can look at mortality rate and mortality observed versus expected ratio. Looks like this physician is well under the mean for mortality rate and observed versus expected ratio. That is based on an index of 1, so you always want to be below 1. Next, we have core measures here, and you can also look at AHRQ patient safety indicators and the top 10 complications for this physician.